If you're considering a divorce, there's a lot of questions that you may have, and this question is the #1 question that's asked at our office. Let's talk to family law attorney Seth Glazer to figure out what the answer is to how much will my divorce cost.
This might not surprise anyone that I'm speaking to out there on the internet or whoever is listening to me. One of the most, if not the most frequent question that I get asked as a family law attorney is, how much is my divorce going to cost me? There's no real simple answer to that question, but as part of my series about talking about families, financials with respect to divorce situations, I think it's very important for you to hear, at least from my point of view, what a divorce will cost you. And again, the answer is it really varies. I can't give anyone an exact number on what it might cost you. That's going to depend on what attorney that you hire, what kind of experience that they have. People charge different hourly rates depending on what their experience level is. There are some places that will do flat fee services, which everyone is free to investigate. Here at Thomas Godley & Grimes, we do a few flat fee services. For instance, if you just want an absolute divorce, and that's just a simple filing of divorce to get divorced from your spouse, we do that for a flat fee of $1,250. But outside of that, most of the work we do here at Thomas Godley & Grimes is done on an hourly basis and an hourly rate. And I think most of the law firms that you will deal with, be it in Mooresville or Charlotte, you're going to get the same thing. They're going to work on an hourly basis, and those rates are going to be different across attorneys. They're going to be rates that are different across paralegals, across associates, etc. At the end of the day, the divorce, a separation situation, it can cost a small fortune. It can also cost very little. I think a lot of that depends on the individual parties that are involved in the case. When it comes to costs related to a separation divorce, attorneys who are doing their jobs and doing their jobs right for their clients in our world, it does take us some time to gather information from you guys, get financial documents. If you recall in some of my last videos, I talked about having all that information available and ready for us because it makes our lives easier. But it takes us some time to go through all that information, synthesize all that information, and be able to give you an opinion on what the outcome of your situation can be. That being said, if you have relatively reasonable parties in these cases and everyone has a mindset on resolving the case outside of court, it is going to be significantly less expensive for you to resolve your matter outside of court than it is if you end up litigating every single issue that you're going through. Can I give you an exact number on what it costs to go and settle a case, be it between attorneys or through mediation? I can't, but I can certainly tell you that if you're able to, if you hire your attorney, be that me or somebody else, your spouse hires an attorney, everyone puts their heads together, everyone's on the up and up about exchanging documents, doing the right thing there. Everyone comes to the table with a head at negotiating, understanding that, hey, look, to settle this case, to save us money in the future, whether it's the financial issues, the kids, etc., I might not get everything, or your client, I might not be able to get my client every single thing that they want. The other attorney might not be able to get their client every single thing that they want. But if everyone can come and reach a reasonable settlement before or at a mediation, it is going to be significantly cheaper. Could it still cost you in excess of $8,000, $9,000, $10,000? Sure, it can, but it's going to be done right. If you come to me, it will be done right, and it will potentially cost a little bit more than some other places and some other people with less experience. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be far cheaper than it is if you go into litigating the case. If you end up in litigation because you can't resolve things, it is almost impossible for me or any other family law attorney to tell you exactly how much it's going to cost. Depending on the complexity of the case, there are some cases that drag on for years. And during that time, individuals can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars if they can't find a way to resolve their matter. And for some people, they have the money and they have the ability to do that. It's not necessarily the right thing to do, and it might not be the right thing for your family. Certainly there are situations where you do have to go to court and you do have to fight and you do have to spend some money to do that. And if so, you just need to be aware that it will cost you a decent amount of money. But over time, if you litigate every single issue in your case, it is very easy for these cases that we deal with to cost each individual party in excess of 6 figures during the pendency of that case. That's not necessarily because our firm or any other firm wants to charge you that amount of money. It's just because there's a lot of work that goes into filing pleadings, doing discovery, litigating cases, going to motions hearings, trials, all of that, getting experts involved, all of that costs a lot of money. And so if you can't resolve things, that's where it's going to head. You know, at the end of the day, and kind of a summary on that, and again, because people always ask me, can I give you an exact figure? The answer is no. I can always give you, when people come in and meet with me, I can give you a ballpark based on what you tell me about your situation. If I think we're able to settle the case or that both sides are going to come together to settle the case, I'm going to tell you it's going to be significantly cheaper, and I'll give you a range of costs based on how much time I think that's going to take. Again, none of that's an absolute, but if it ends up in litigation, it will cost a lot of money. And that is the unfortunate aspect of litigating every issue. That's what we're paid to do. I'm happy to do that, but it's not necessarily the best thing for your family if you can find a way to not go through that.